Yeah, I'm back playing Outriders again. So I saw there was an expansion releasing this month and I heard whispers that the game was in a much better state. It seemed like the perfect opportunity to jump back in. Now last I left off with this game, I said it was not worth your time, at least in the state that it was in, but there was potential for this to be a great game. So to start off, I rolled a new character and ran through the main story. It was about the same as I remembered. Not great, but not awful story-wise. Gunplay and general gameplay felt about the same, perhaps slightly improved, but none of these were my big deal breaker from before. It was really the end game that I had issues with. So when I finally got back into those, I started to notice the changes. The biggest and most impactful of all of these was the removal of expedition timers. The expeditions were the repeatable end game in which you just run over and over again to get better and better loot. The problem before is you had to finish the map within a certain amount of time to receive the best loot. Because of that time requirement, the vast majority of the builds were not viable in endgame, which absolutely sucked. You just spent the last 20 hours playing through the story, curating a build, finding weapons, putting together something you really enjoy, only to find you can't complete endgame expeditions and nobody wants you in their group. The removal of the timer opened up build diversity and let people play how they wanted to play. This alone has changed the game completely and it's made it a ton of fun. Along with the timer changes, they did rework the drop system, making it so legendaries had a less chance of being a duplicate, along with the ability to purchase some of these from Tiago's store. There were a lot of changes around the loot system, and they retweaked some of the mods and the legendaries and some of the set bonuses you get from those. Honestly, there were quite a bit of changes. The one other one I do want to point out was actually the transmog system. One of my other complaints was actually that you looked absolutely awful as you were running around, and they fixed that with the transmog system. Any piece of gear you have, you can make it look like whatever other piece of gear you had. Now my guy still looks awful, but that's just because I have no sense of fashion, but you could put together an actual outfit and have things look pretty good. All of these changes and more landed in November 2021 with the free New Horizons update. You can read through this thread, but it came with a ton of other bug fixes, quality of life changes, and much more. Honestly, I wish I would have came back sooner because these changes really made this game fun. Of course, there are still a few minor issues that do need to be worked out. For one, what's with the resting crazy faces and why are these animations just still looped? He just twitches back to the beginning of the animation every 4 seconds or so. Also, I think the UI needs a little bit of a rework. When I logged in for the first time in I don't know how many months, I wish there would have been something saying, hey, these are the changes since you were last on. Just something telling you about 4 new missions, timers had been removed, so on and so forth. And then just more detail on some of the abilities. For example, Ash. I totally forgot what Ash was, but nothing in my character would tell me what it did. Not on the weapons that had it, not on the abilities, not on the pyro character screen. I didn't know what Ash did. It wasn't until I was stumbling in the guide and went to the enemies section and then found effects that I found, oh, this is what Ash does. Why not just put that right by the abilities, or when I hover over it say, oh, Ash stops an enemy for 2.5 seconds. And then the last thing about the UI is to remember the pop-ups I've already seen. The number of times I've dismissed this one is probably about 1 billion. It just keeps popping up all the time, and then I dismiss it with a Y and it'll pop up again. Now, all of these things are very minor, except for this next one, which I feel is a little more major. When you're doing an expedition with a group, if you get knocked down, you have the opportunity to resurrect yourself. You can do that about once or twice per area, and then if you're out of resurrections, you're just in a down state until your buddy comes along and resurrects you. This is great, and if you're on a voice chat with your teammate, it's really fun to coordinate these things. Maybe you decide you'll resurrect this time because there's too many people around, or he'll try to get you so you can save it for the next time. But then if you jump into a solo expedition, you're all by yourself. When you get knocked, game over, done. It sucks, and it makes it difficult to push higher tiered content. So what's the fix? I see a couple of different opportunities here. One, you can give them a couple of resurrects. Another idea would be the checkpoint system. Once you hit a certain point when you die, you go back to that point, but you can only do that 2 or 3 times. But if none of those fit the paradigm they want, I'd say at least provide a better loot drop for those completing it solo. Because if you beat it solo, you did it as a deathless run. You never went down once. Or there could be another option. Either way, solo expeditions need to be revisited. But overall, everything has been incredible, and I am super excited for the New Horizons expansion. It does look like there's some pretty good deals for Outriders on the Steam store if you're interested. I'll be sure to drop some videos about the new expansion as I play through it, and then a full review once I finish it. Be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss them. And thank you for watching. My name's Stryftek, and I'll see you next time.